Hey guys, welcome to another conversation with Stephanie Murphy over in Spokane, Washington. And we got a great one planned for you today. Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm well, John. How are you?
I am well as well. Good to see
Good.
you again.
Thank you.
So, Stephanie, we were talking off camera. We continue to get the question, and it's a valid question, guys. Should I be buying real estate in this market? It's kind of tumultuous, kind of turbulent. Prices are kind of going down, or are they? It looks like they're turning around, going up. What about interest rates? So there's a lot to consider here. So we're going to take another shot at this and look at it from a different angle today. Stephanie, what if they shouldn't be buying real estate? What reasons can you see that someone should reconsider and maybe not buy real estate in this market, or maybe any market?
Um, that's actually a fun one, but not so fun one, because there are people that just so eagerly want to go buy a house because it seems like it's the right thing to do, or it's the responsible thing to do, or sometimes it seems like it's the social right thing to do, all of the many reasons why people go down that path. But in my opinion, if you're pushing yourself to where you're strapped with a monthly payment, or if you're taking away from your monthly reserves, or you're now putting yourself under so much pressure that the rest of your family is feeling that, or your spouse or your kids or whoever it is, like, then that's probably a good indication to pause and put up the brakes on, because the opportunity is always going to be there. Like, that's never going to go away. But maybe the preparedness of how you can come to the table is what can be a better situation. And so oftentimes, if you are trying to force that round peg in the square hole, to say, you're not going to be able to do that, and you're going to just frustrate yourself and take away from the experience of what could be a really good and fun experience, and trying to make it just happen because you want X, Y, or Z to be there. So don't do that.
Okay. So you can't afford it. You're trying to force the round peg into the square hole. You shouldn't buy.
Yeah.
I would add to that let's say there's emotional reasons, and sometimes it's between spouses. One of you wants to buy, one of you does not want to buy. Probably it's wise to take the conservative approach and pause for a moment until you're both on the same page, whatever page that is. If you decide you both want to buy, then take a really hard look and buy. But if one of you sincerely doesn't want to, it's just going to cause problems in the relationship if you do.
Right.
And if you both get on the same page later on, then you don't want to, you're going to be on the same page. So you should reassess at the very least and get on the same page before you decide to buy.
And I will say, from a professional standpoint as well, for any agent that is trying to do real estate as a business, that's one of those hard conversations that you do need to have with those clients. And I've had this happen so many times. And the example of a partnership, whether it's their spouse or they're dating, they're engaged, whatever it is, I don't really care. If it's two people that are literally coming together and it requires those two participants in order to make this transaction happen, if they are not on the same page, boy, my Lord, can that be not so much fun, because you're constantly playing this tug of war game of emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then, so in that's why I say too, be willing to have those tough conversations. Be willing to essentially lose a sale right now, temporarily. Don't force people or push people because you so eagerly want to make the sale to, push people into a decision that they may regret later, because that's not going to help your business either, whether you're from a lender or a real estate standpoint.
No. We're not here to force fit people into loans or houses. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Just not
The
a
one
good
other
thing.
thing I will add of when and why you should pause is really that financial component. Because right now, as we have seen the shift in pricing come into play, and then the shift in pricing for the cost to borrow the money essentially to purchase the home. So you have a lot of factors that are changing and shifting right now that you really want to pay attention to. And I would say that if you are in a spot where the price of the home is already maxed and then your pricing seems maxed, then I would definitely suggest, if you have not shopped for pricing, then to do that. Like, I love the people that I have that come to me that are like, hey, I'm sitting at this price point, and I already know, because you and I have regular conversations about pricing, that seems a little bit high from just a standard conversation. So then when I hear somebody say that, then I say, have you looked and gotten a second opinion just to see if that is accurate across the board? Because say they go to you and you have lots of different financing options that are available to your clients, So when you do, sometimes it makes a difference of even 1% on that buying power, which makes a big difference on their purchasing power. So if they have a second opinion that can reduce that interest rate, then it maximizes then what they can actually then go pursue, and maybe gives them a little bit more wiggle room to make it to where it actually can make it a good thing. But if you're too capped on both of those, then it's probably not a good time, and maybe just wait it out a little bit to give yourself a little bit of cushion and room to negotiate.
Yeah, timing is really important here, guys. To piggyback on what Stephanie just said, rates go up and down, and prices of homes has been coming down, and now it looks like it's reversing in some areas and going up. So timing is really important. If you maintain great communication with your agent, with your loan officer, and they're letting you know when things are better to buy, maybe rates are down a little bit, maybe it's a good time to lock that rate, now's the time to move, that can really help with that house payment, no doubt about it.
Yep.
Another reason not to buy,
attention.
Yep, pay attention. If there's going to be upcoming changes in your life that you just are kind of got this feeling that are unpredictable, maybe your income's going to change and it's going to go the wrong way instead of the right way. Buying a house is a great long-term investment, but not always a very good short-term investment. There are costs to buying the home to get in, and then if you had to sell the home within a year, there are costs to exit that home and get out. So you could buy it at the same price, sell it for a little higher price, and still lose money in the overall scheme of things because of the transaction costs. So if you think you're going to be changing things in your life, whatever they might be, and you might have to get out of that house a little sooner, probably not a good thing to buy. So you want to pause and reassess that as well. Any other thoughts, Stephanie, why someone might not want to buy a home?
If you're not facing reality in the sense that when you do buy a home, you have to be realistic that comes with all sorts of costs and responsibility. And if you have not sat down and written those out, I really highly suggest that you do. And that will also be a really good indicator if you are ready, in fact, to be a homeowner versus staying as a tenant, because there's a lot of things that you do have to be responsible for when it comes to owning a home. That does take time, which also means you're not going to be able to do maybe the original lifestyle that you're currently living, and it does require a shift and a change, all positive and good things, but it is something to consider. So I would say from that emotional standpoint as well, make sure you write a list and that you don't go into it thinking it's going to be all great, grand, and the grass is greener. And then get into it like, dang it, why am I doing this instead of being a tenant? Because if that's the route and you want to stay a tenant, there's a way to do that too, was purchasing for an investment for yourself, but still being able to stay the tenant versus the actual homeowner.
Yeah, very good point. So buying a home and having that expense is kind of a double-edged thing, because more than likely that home is going to appreciate over time, but you got to give it some time, right?
Yep.
And if you own the home, you're going to benefit from that appreciation. And that's a really wonderful thing. And you own your home and you can do things to it and you can change it. You can paint the wall whatever color you want and things of that nature. But as Stephanie is saying, there are maintenance costs with home. There's upkeep costs. Things break. You got to replace the hot water heater. You're no longer a tenant. Those costs are on you. So if you're stretching yourself to the max to buy the home, and then something breaks, and then something outside the house, like the car breaks down, and you don't have the reserves for that, that can be really a tough road. Now, I know it can be worthwhile and be valuable, but be aware and be knowledgeable and be informed, like Stephanie is saying, before you enter that, and be prepared. So if things happen, you have a plan on how you're going to handle those things, the maintenance, the breakdowns, whatever they may be. I've seen people that stretch themselves for a year or two to get a home, and then their income increased, and they knew that was going to happen, and then they're in good shape, and now they have the benefit of home ownership, which is a wonderful thing, right? Yep. But I've also seen people who got married to their home and they couldn't do anything else, like Stephanie is saying, because they had to make the house payment and they had to fix that hot water heater, whatever, and they were married to the house is what we call it, and that's not necessarily fun either. So go in with eyes wide open and make sure you got a fully informed decision on this.
Yes. And if you're not sure, if you're on the fence, call, reach out to me or you. Obviously, we can help hopefully get you off the fence one way or the other.
One way or the other. That's exactly right. All right, Stephanie, thanks. Very informative information. I guess information is typically informative, so I appreciate that. That's good.
Yes, good thing.
Thanks for the conversation today, Stephanie. It's always fun. I appreciate it.
Yes, very much so. And until next time.
Thanks, you got it. Take care, guys.
Thanks. Have a good day.